Hello and welcome, I'm Joshua Barnes, and today we'll be diving into a discussion on the ongoing political turmoil in Canada. Justin Trudeau is facing mounting pressure from opposition parties and now a key ally in Jagmeet Singh to step down in an unprecedented week for the Canadian political landscape. A shock cabinet resignation and a reshuffle has left the Prime Minister reeling. Having failed to directly address Chrystia Freeland's resignation, is the writing on the wall for Trudeau, or can he defy all odds? We are joined by four guests today. Firstly, we have the Ambassador, Baswati Mukherjee, former diplomat; Rabinder Sachdev, Foreign Affairs expert. We have Professor Madhav Nalapat, Editorial Director of the Sunday Guardian; and retired Major General A.K. Siwach, who is a defence expert. Starting off with Baswati Mukherjee, I have a question for you relating specifically to the pressure that Trudeau is facing. It's coming from all sides, and what impact does it have that Jagmeet Singh has now made comments in Parliament calling for a vote of no confidence?
Well, the falling out with Jagmeet Singh had been on the cards for quite some time, Joshua. The issue was that how long would it take before Jagmeet Singh would actually take the step and call for a vote of no confidence, because it's a risky maneuver for him also, because if general elections are held in Canada now within the next few months, clearly Trudeau's party would be defeated, which means that the unholy alliance that he had with Jagmeet Singh and his party of extremists who support Khalistan would be out of power. So clearly, it demonstrates that the parlous state of the Canadian economy, which led to the resignation of the very capable finance minister, indicates that the freebies that Trudeau was offering will not be able to sustain the Canadian economy once it faces the kind of tariffs that President-elect Trump has threatened. And on the other hand, he's probably realized that beyond a point, his continuous massaging of Jagmeet Singh's ego and trying to prop up Khalistani elements against regular Indian diaspora living in Canada, who are the majority and who do not approve of Jagmeet Singh or his party's activities, is actually damaging the Canadian economy, which is very clear. Indian students their numbers to Canada are getting reduced. The very healthy economic bilateral partnership between Canada and India has been badly damaged because of Trudeau. And I think that he also recognizes that once President Trump comes to power, he cannot rely anymore on the American deep state, which has functioned in an independent manner under President Biden, to prop up his anti-Indian propaganda. So I think that I don't believe he will be able to move out of this quagmire in which he is easily. I think that for this particular term of Trudeau, it's the writing on the wall. It's just a matter of time before he moves out. That is not going to cause any grief as far as I'm concerned. I will be extremely happy if Canada has a new Prime Minister and that Canada and India can rebuild fences and go back to the kind of partnership that we had before Trudeau.
Baswati, I want to stick with you because we have had a cabinet reshuffle. Of course, the finance minister, who you said there was exemplary in the work that she was doing, stepped down, and now another key ally. But do you think this cabinet reshuffle is a desperate move, or is it one that needed to happen with such a big name leaving the cabinet?
It was catastrophic for Trudeau, and the fact that she stood up to him and she told him that the freebies that he was offering are highly damaging, and that Canada needs to prepare for the ongoing tariff war with the United States, led him, according to her own testimony, to offer her another portfolio in the cabinet, which she rejected and sent in her resignation, and she mentioned it in her letter of resignation. So I don't think he had any option but to appoint another finance minister. But the manner in which the cabinet reshuffle has taken place also demonstrates um, much less political support for Trudeau within his own party and declining public support for Trudeau nationally in Canada, which is it's a flourishing democracy. And clearly, the opinion polls also show that he's badly trailing the opposition party, and he's not expected to win uh, the free and fair democratic election, which will be held in Canada if he loses the vote of no confidence, as seems likely. Joshua.
Thank you, Baswati. We're going to move now to Rabinder Sachdev, who is a foreign affairs expert. Looking at the changes, it has been a week of turmoil, as we've mentioned already. Trudeau's chosen not to speak after the reshuffle. Is this something specifically that you think was done because he knows the writing's on the wall, or do you think he is leaving it because he's also not spoken about Chrystia Freeland's resignation either? So is his silence on these issues more of a sort of damning report on his current situation, or do you think he's doing it for a specific reason?
I think maybe all of it combined. The point is he does not need to right now be making statements because the parliament, the Canadian parliament, I understand, would be convening in not before now the last week of January, right? So there's about a month's time. I think what he's doing is stepping back, taking a breather, figuring out his, opportunities and whatever, the next steps he would take. I remember his father once, took a walk out in the snow on the streets of whichever city, Ottawa, and he was at a similar political juncture. And at the end of that walk, he came back and decided to resign. Anyway, now regarding Trudeau, so he's biding his time. I think there are two or three things happening. One, it appears absolutely is that Trudeau has lost a lot of support.
I'm on the channel. Bolo.
Sorry.
Okay.
He has lost a lot of support, and the Liberal Party also. The question is, do the Liberals go into the elections with him as the leader? If they go in, then definitely they're heading for a defeat, it seems. Now, regarding Jagmeet Singh, I think he's playing a dual game. He's a politician. I think he's figured out that Trudeau is a sinking ship, and the next election would be going to the Conservatives. So he is kind of separating himself from Trudeau because his voter base and his election and his politics eats into the Liberal Party also. So Jagmeet Singh, I think, is actually looking to increase his, I mean, that's what a politician would do if he takes any step, increase his parliamentary seats in the next elections at the expense of the Liberal Party. Knowing well that Conservatives would come to power, he would not be part of the coalition, of course, like he was enjoying the fruits, but then the next 5 years, he could build up his own party as an alternative to the Liberals. That's there. One last point I'll make is that I think the whole Trump, issue with the finance minister and Trudeau and all, in an oblique way, it could have given Trudeau an opening, because Trump was very unhappy with the Deputy Prime Minister Finance also, and he said good riddance to bad rubbish, something like that, right? Now, and she was criticizing, let's say, Trudeau's policy with respect to Trump and saying that, he should not be spending the money on freebies, rather we should be saving the money to counter the tariffs. So in some ways, I think Trudeau could have an opportunity to, figure out and get closer or try and get closer to Trump, just because of the fact that the Deputy Prime Minister was the more of the two evils.
Professor Madhav Nalapat, I want to join off the back of this. Obviously, the 25% tariff threats that Trump has announced, we are less than a month away in terms of Trump's inauguration, and it's his promise to bring those in on the first day of his presidency. Do you think the threats have played a part in this chaos, or do you think that the political uncertainty in Canada over the last 18 months is something that would have led us to this point anyway, despite what Trump said?
Well, I don't think Trump has played a direct role. I think it's, for one thing, I have some friendly feelings towards Trudeau for the fact that Jagmeet Singh is now opposed to him. Because the fact is that Jagmeet Singh, I mean, there are so many people in Canada in the political sphere who are basically supporting violent, extremist, terrorist elements in India. They're funding them, they're getting them trained, including on Canadian soil. They're doing all kinds of horrible things and playing with security of the world's most populous democracy. So I think, frankly, that if Jagmeet Singh, I don't want to use names here, but let's say that individuals who would like to see the more and more violence and terrorism in India, if they have a problem with Trudeau, who had been giving free rein to them in the past, well, that's a good thing. But having said that, I'd like to say that Trudeau has proven himself to be completely unreliable and a very, very bad manager of the Canadian economy. The economy is in bad shape. The people are reeling under the shock of inflation, joblessness, drug addiction, and worse. I mean, gang wars breaking out openly in Canada, for which, of course, some of the Canadian leaders have blamed India rather than themselves for the mess that they are in. So while I have no tears to shed for Trudeau, as far as Jagmeet Singh is concerned, the Conservatives joined with him, well, I would say good luck to them. But then the point of the matter is that when you're an accessory to terror, when you're basically a facilitator of terror, someday the law is going to catch up with you, and the laws will not have much of a statute or limitations, and that will also be, quite possibly international law. So I'd like to say that I think, frankly, the Conservatives need to be very careful about whom they ally with, and ensure that an alliance is such that it keeps ties intact between the large democracies and themselves, Trump's, the US and India under Modi. And from that point of view, I would only like to say that, in my view, the Chrystia Freeland, she wants to be Prime Minister herself, and within the party, increasingly a feeling has come that Trudeau has become very unpopular with the public. His basically this good guy image, this Hollywood star image is not working. Because, ultimately, when you're looking at at your larder, you're not looking at a Hollywood movie star. You're looking at an efficient Prime Minister. He's not that. When you're looking at the mess that Canada is in regarding drug addiction, well, you feel upset. And no matter that you've got a Hollywood star or somebody pretending to be a Hollywood star as your Prime Minister. But I think Trudeau has become very unpopular. And yes, it's a race to the exit for his party. And if he doesn't quit, possibly he'll be made to quit in the near future. But having said that, I would like to point out that I think the Conservatives need to be very careful and live up to their image and live up to their traditions and to their principles. Trudeau betrayed all of that, and that's why he's paying a heavy price. The Conservative leader should not do the same as Trudeau. Thank you, Joshua.
Yes, Major General A.K. Sawach, to look specifically at the Liberal Party, and 19, we know at least 19 members of the party have spoken out against their own leader. Clearly there is discontent within the party, but also discontent within Canada. And I want to get an understanding from you of why that discontent is there and what the feeling is on the ground in terms of such mistrust now amongst Canadian people with Justin Trudeau, considering he was so popular in years gone by.
Yeah, see, as far as Canadian people are concerned, and also there are a number of parliamentarians within Liberal Party, they are as on today against Justin Trudeau. The reason is that he has failed in all sphere. The economy is doing extremely bad. Inflation is the highest. And as far as, their economy concerned, in fact, they are going in a negative. The unemployment is on increase. The law and order situation is tremendously bad. And also there is a threat which is given by Donald Trump that he will put a tariff of 25%. And the reason is too, that he said that the Canada, like Mexico, are not able to put restriction on the illegal drugs which are coming from Canada and illegal migration which is taking place. So there is no doubt about it. It is not only that the conservative, which are the opposition party, which are raising finger toward Justin Trudeau, it is also you can say the minister as well as certain parliamentary within his own party raising finger because Justin Trudeau has failed in all sphere. Now, as to how Justin Trudeau has failed, no doubt about it, it was a minority government and he has taken a support of a new Democratic Party, Jagmeet Singh. And Jagmeet Singh is known as a Khalistan sympathizer. So the point what has happened is that Justin Trudeau, to keep Jagmeet Singh happy, was taking certain anti-India stance. And he was pro-Khalistani. And if you see certain activities which have taken place in Canada in last about 2 years, it shows that the relationship between Canada and India has gone downhill. And only the sole responsible for this is Justin Trudeau. And due to which what has happened is the free trade agreement, which was on the last stage and which could have been signed by now between Canada and India, is now in cold storage. And also that the huge market which India offers. Today, India and Canada relationship are in a very low ebb. And the reason why it is there is because Justin Trudeau, just to take the support of the New Democratic Party of Jagmeet Singh, is taking an anti-India stance and also giving a lot of support to the Khalistani separatists. Now, as far as what is likely to happen, the point today which is come is that as on today, the Parliament is not in the session. House of Commons will only start functioning on 27 January. It is more than a month. One can't say whether New Democratic Party of Jagmeet Singh will join the opposition and will vote for no confidence, or they will change their mind. If they change their mind, then this government may get the breather. And if this government continues, it means it will have a more anti-India stance. Because in case if it is on the crutches of New Democratic Party of Jagmeet Singh, you will find pro-Khalistani activity will be increasing in Canada, and which will be bad for Canada and also Indian-Canada relationship. And in case New Democratic Party is there with the opposition, with the conservative, and they move the motion of non-confidence, then this government will go, and then you'll find the election somewhere in February, March, far before the election which was otherwise supposed to take place in October 2025. So one can say with a lot of certainty, Justin Trudeau has failed in all spheres. The relationship of Canada, between Canada and India, Canada and US, and also with other countries is downhill. The ministers as well as certain representatives within his own party are not happy with the way he's functioning. They feel that he's working more for the powerful, not for the common. New Democratic Party, Jagmeet Singh, who was giving them support now, is possibly trying to take out that support, and the minority government will fail. But all said and done, Justin Trudeau is unpopular within the country, and it looks if the election take place where in near future it will be Conservative Party all through, and Liberals are going to lose election. And it looks like that within Liberals also there are a number of people coming, and they are now pointing finger toward Justin Trudeau. He's become so unpopular. I think there will be a new leader which will be emerging in the Liberal Party itself in time to come.
Yes, and I want to look at that potential route out of Parliament. If we're looking at the current situation, we don't have government for at least another month. If Justin Trudeau were to resign in Canada, it would take 28 days until the next person could be assigned and voted for. So in that instance, do you think he's biding his time, Rabinder Sachdev, or do you think this is a calculated move where he's thinking, if I can survive the next month without any more problems, and then the understanding that there's at least another month, is he trying to ride out the storm, do you think, or is it just he's delaying the inevitable and hoping to gain as much popularity as possible for his party before the writing on the wall eventually he does leave?
I think as of now, he's trying to ride out the storm. Though the Liberal Party and his own polling numbers are very low, out of the 153 or so members of Parliament in the Parliament of the Liberal Party, as you mentioned, only about 19 have openly called for him to step down. And out of these 19, I think about half, about 10 of them are those who are not contesting the next election, right? Or the 19 or 20 MPs who are asking Trudeau to step down. So in that sense, about 140 of the existing MPs in the Liberal Party are still, tagging along with him for whatsoever reasons. That's one. The second, I think, is a complication from what I understand in terms of the constitution of the Liberal Party. There is no provision in the party to elect a new president. That happens only after the election, as of now, in the party. That's my understanding of the constitution of the Liberal Party. So technically speaking, the Liberal Party has no mechanism to force him to step down from the leadership of the party as such, from my understanding, right? Any leader of the party can be or is appointed only after the federal elections take place. So I think that's a complication which is also, going out there. Now, I would like to touch on the pro-Khalistan and with regards to India, right? I mean, we're talking general overall, but with regards to India, the issue of Khalistan and Khalistani support in Canada, to my mind, is a systemic problem. It is not a Trudeau-specific problem, or a Liberal Party problem, or a Jagmeet Singh problem. The Conservative Party also has members of parliament and leaders who are soft and stand with the cause of Khalistan. The two deputy leaders, other than the leader Pierre, right? There are two deputy leaders of the Conservative Party in the parliament, deputy leaders. One of them is Tim Uppal. On the day that, Trudeau laid out the allegation against India last year in September, the first time he said, right, that the Digit murder case, India has a role in it or whatever. In the debate, Tim Uppal talked about, he said, I'm just coming, I had been to the home of Nijjar to pay my condolences to his family. I met his son and I paid my regards, and we want to get to the bottom of this affair. He did not mention India, but he alluded. So the point is, even the Conservative Party in Canada has a systemic problem. But when Trudeau goes, there will be a chance to reset or reboot or re-begin Canada-India relations. So if there's a Conservative Party, chances are that, yes, they would look to step back down the train wreck which Trudeau was taking Canada-India relations. They will step back, right? And they will act on some of India's concerns also, yes. But we will not be surprised, and we should not be surprised, that even under Conservative dispensation, our concerns about the Khalistani support, soft support by the Canadian leaders will continue. And
Yes.
regarding, sorry.
Yes, so I want to go to Professor Madhav Nalapat for our final question before we wrap up. Apologies, I will come back to yourself, Rabinder Sachdev, and just to finish off your point. Briefly, I want you to sort of foreshadow what you think will happen. Jagmeet Singh, of course, his influence to the Conservatives and, of course, the Liberal Party now. Do you think he has a big part to play in who the next government will be? And if I'm putting you on the spot, I want a prediction on what you think will be the sort of end of this Trudeau saga and who you think will be in power.
See, I do not think, as of now, from what little I know, I do not think that Jagmeet Singh would get into a coalition, or the Conservatives would need a coalition. The Conservatives could very well come back to power on their own steam as of now. But what Jagmeet Singh will do, he will cannibalize the votes of the Liberal Party and Trudeau. And in the process, I mean, that's what he's gaming out. In the process, he has about 20 odd seats right now, right? He would look to up his seats to maybe 30, 35 or more. And then, because see, Jagmeet's party is center-left, the Conservatives are right, so they would typically not get into the bed together, right? So Jagmeet Singh is looking to raise his numbers. Liberals may end up with very low numbers. Conservatives could end up with comfortable numbers, so it could be a Conservative government. But Jagmeet Singh's party would have enhanced its number of seats in the parliament. That's if I could maybe read the tea leaves.
Thank you very much. General A.K. Sawach, we have time for one more quick one. Obviously, the issues that have been there between Trudeau's government and India have persisted in recent weeks, recent months. Where do you see relations between the two nations going with a new government looking like it's possible?
The point today is that as on today, the New Democratic Party is playing a major role, because Justin Trudeau is in a minority government and he needs the support of New Democratic Party, Jagmeet Singh, who is a pro-Khalistani separatist, and that's why he's playing to the gallery. Now the question comes is, if the election take place in say February, March, before October 25, you will find possibility of Conservative coming in majority, and they possibly will not require a New Democratic Party Jagmeet Singh support. And if they don't want this support, I'm sure there will be recalibration on the relationship between India and Canada. because the relationship were going upswing. You know, just before Justin Trudeau in last 2 years, after Hardeep Singh Nijjar killing, possibly by Lawrence Bishnoi group in a inter-gang rivalry, the relationship has gone downhill. So the point today is there is a requirement of resetting the relationship between India and Canada, because it is a requirement for both the countries. Because Canada, as on today, needs India more than India needs Canada. Canada's finances are not doing well. Canada trade is going down. Canada, you can see today the economy is so bad. The inflation is the highest today. Unemployment is on the rise, and there is a law and order problem. And the relationship between India has gone so bad, the free trade agreement is not being signed. So in case conservative come into power and they don't need a new Democratic Party support and they are in majority, there is a scope and chance that the relationship between India and Canada may be reshaped and recalibrated. And that will be ideal for both the countries, because it is better, because both are a sound democratic country. Both have been having very good relation in past, and they need to take a better relationship. India provides a huge market to Canada for investment, and at the same time, India also can send number of students for further studies in Canada. So it is a win-win situation for Canada and India in case the relationship go better. And it looks to me 2-3 things will happen next year. One is possibility of conservative government coming in Canada of its own is very high, and not requiring support of new Democratic Party will take an independent view of India-Canada relation. Second thing is Donald Trump. The moment Donald Trump comes, you will find it, he is quite pro-India and he wants to maintain good relation, and that will translate toward Canada also. And Justin Trudeau or a conservative party leader which will be coming will think 10 times. So I suppose overall it looks to me, in case election take place next year, conservative party comes and it does not need a support of a new Democratic Party, it is in majority by itself, you will find recalibration of the relation between Canada and India, and it will be good for both the countries, and you will find free trade agreement again coming back on the track.
Thank you, Major General A.K. Sawach. I also want to thank our other guests today. We're joined, of course, by Professor Madhav Nalapat. We are joined by Rabinder Sachdev and Vaswati Mukherjee. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back with more breaking debates and the latest news updates from across the world on NewsX World.
Thank you.